In systems of equations, you looked at problems with distance, velocity, and time. You might have used r instead of velocity, right? Rate. Okay? You need to know the formulas. So velocity is equal to what? Or your rate? Distance over time. Or distance equals velocity times time. Or time equals distance over velocity. Okay? I fully expect you to be able to make those equations and not need a formula sheet for those. Okay, if you know one, you know them all. You can manipulate. The easiest one to know is distance equals VT, and then you could rearrange for V or T if you need to. Okay, so really easy. That is expected. It's not going to be given to you. You need to know those formulas. Back in grade 10, did you make a chart to solve these problems? Yeah, you're still going to do the exact same thing. Okay, so today, we're going to go through a bunch of these. Now this time, like in grade 10, it was always, you had situations that were linear, right? And you had systems of equations where you had to solve. We're going to actually deal with the division problems, right? Rational expressions. So often using our formula with d over t or d over v. Okay, so same type of idea, but now we'll have some rational expressions. On the first page, I'll just look at it really quickly. You don't have to turn. I go through some steps. What are you looking for? So our first step is to fill in the column first with the variables. Then we fill in the columns that have numbers only, and then we use the formula to get the third column. Okay? And then we use the last piece of information to relate them. So let's start with here. Oh, number 2. Whoops, wrong way. Robin and Carl shared the driving on a trip from Cranbrook to Revelstoke. They drove for equal lengths of time, but Carl drove 20 kilometers faster than Robin. Carl drove for 225 kilometers, and Robin drove for 175. At what speed did each of them drive? Okay, so we have two situations. We have Robin, and we have Carl. What is going to go for my labels on my columns? What are the variables? Distance, which equals velocity times time, right? So d, v, and t. So our first thing is, what are we looking for? At what speed? So we're looking for speed. That's my unknown variable. So we're going to actually use our unknown variable as v. So what's the relationship between them? It says they drove for equal lengths, but Carl drove 20 kilometers faster than Robin. So who is going to be our variable of v? Robin. Let's make Robin v, and Carl would be what? He's 20 kilometers faster than Robin, so v plus 20. Good. So we fill in our variables first. Our second step is filling in the actual columns that just have numbers. So what would those be? The distance. It said that Carl drove 225 kilometers and Robin drove 175. So now our third step is to use the formula to fill in the third column. So what's the relationship between d and v? If time is equal to what? D over v. So our distance divided by, so 175 divided by v. And Carl would be 225 divided by v plus 20. Then our next step is to use the other information that hasn't been used yet in the question to relate these things. Now in this case, to relate our time. So what do we know about their time? Yeah? No? Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. What do we know about their times? They drove for equal lengths of time. So we can set their times equal to each other. And solve for v. Okay, so solving for v, what would we do to solve for v? Would we get a, where's an equal sign? Do we need a common denominator? Or do we multiply both sides by the common denominator? Multiply everything by the common denominator. We want to get rid of the fraction. So I'm going to, what would be the common denominator? V times v plus 20. So let's multiply both sides by v times v plus 20. Okay, now you could have also cross multiplied. It's the same thing, but you have to be careful of getting into that habit because it won't always work if you have addition or subtraction. So it's nice to just get rid of the fraction by multiplying everybody by the common denominator. So the v's cancel here, v plus 20's cancel here. All right, so I have 175 times v plus 20 equals 225v. So that's linear. It's easy to solve now. So distributive law. Oops, I forgot a v. There you go. So we want v's by themselves. Subtract 175v to the other side. $3,500 equals how many v's? 50. And then divide both sides by 50. What do we get? 700. 70? 70? Yeah, 70 equals v. Okay, so last we need to write a sentence. It asks for what speed do each of them drive. We just found one of them. So going back to the chart, Robin drove. We want units too. 70 kilometers per hour because Robin was v. How fast did Carl drive? 90, good, because he was v plus 20. Carl drove 90 kilometers per hour. Okay, so we need that sentence, and I need that with units and everything. Does this sound familiar? Okay, the only thing that's different, hopefully, from grade 10 is just the formula we're using. We used to always use just d equals v times t. Not so bad? Okay. Okay, let's try 3. A plane and a train both travel 1,200 kilometers. The plane is 8 times faster than the train. The train takes 14 more hours than the plane. Find the speed of both the plane and the train. So again, we're looking for speed. So our two situations, plane and train. Okay, and distance, velocity, time. Okay, so what are we going to fill in first? The what? Pardon me? The variables. Okay, so what are we looking for? Find the speed. It says the plane is 8 times faster than the train. So who are we going to make our variable? Or unknown? The train or the plane? Let's use this, always use the slower one. So in this case, the train is slower. We're going to call him V. You could use X if you want. Do you want to use X instead? No, V is okay? Doesn't matter. So then what would be the plane's speed? He's 8 times faster. 8V. Good. Okay, now we fill in our numbers. So what numbers do we know? Distance, they both travel. They both travel 1,200 kilometers. So 1,200, 1,200. Okay. Okay, so now what do we do with the last box? We use the formula. So T is equal to what? D over V, right? We know distance is equal to V times T, and so we divide both sides by V to get T. So D over V is 1,200 over 8V and 1,200 over V. Yeah, we're going to use that last piece of information. So once we've used the formula, now we use that last piece of information to relate these two. Okay, it says the train takes 14 more hours than the plane. So, who's longer? The train. So the time for the train minus the time for the plane equals 14. Would you agree with that? Okay, now we can, what's the train's time? You could have also done like the train equals the plane plus 14. There's more than one way to set that up. Okay, or you could have done train minus 14 equals the time of the plane. So this is just one way to do it. I'm going to use their difference equals 14. Okay, train's time was 1,200 over V. The plane's time was 1,200 over 8V. And that's going to equal to 14. Where do we go from here? Multiply everybody by 8V. Our common denominator would be 8V. So we're going to multiply everybody by 8V. Equals 8V times 14. To get rid of that denominator. So here the V's cancel. 8V's cancel there. I think, so 9,600, 8 times 1,200 minus 1,200 equals 14 times 8 is what? I can do this. 3, what am I doing? 8, 9, 10, 11, 112, is that right? 112 at RV. 9,600 minus 1,200 is 84. And then divide by 112. Oops. Okay, so what's our final answer? Therefore, the train speed is what? Was the train 75 or the plane? The train. So the train speed is 75 kilometers per hour. How do we get the plane? So that was the train. How do we get the plane? Times it by 8. It was 8V. So 8 times 75, which is 600. So therefore, the train speed is 75 kilometers per hour, and the plane speed is 600. Okay, actually turn backwards, okay, to number 1. And we're going to change it because that was the the number 1 that I gave you there, it's grade 10 and there's no rational expression. So I want you to write down a new question that I have right here. So, Jay, I'm going to use your name. Okay, so cross out what's there and write down the following. Jay flew his plane. Don't forget about me one day when you fly your plane. Okay? His plane 500 kilometers against the wind. In the same time, it took to fly 600 kilometers with the wind. With the wind. It makes it against the wind versus with the wind. If the speed of the wind was 20 kilometers per hour, what would the speed of the plane be with no wind? Do you wish I always made you write down all your questions? Okay, Jay flew his plane 500 kilometers against the wind. In the same time it took to fly 600 kilometers with the wind. If the speed of the wind was 20, what would the speed of the plane be with no wind? It's a fun one. No? Easy? Good. Okay, so let's make a chart. What are our two situations? With the wind or without? Okay, so with wind, without wind. Well, this is a very straight line. Okay, good enough. Yeah. Pardon me? Yeah, so with and with, oh, sorry, that's, you're right. It's with the wind and against the wind. Thank you. Sorry. With wind, against wind. That's what we want. You did that, you were right. I jumped too fast. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? Okay, distance, velocity, time. Okay, so we want to start with putting in our variable. What are we looking for? Speed with no wind. So what would be this if v equals the speed with no wind? When you're with the wind, what's your speed going to be? So it's your speed. What happens? What does the wind do? It pushes you, right? You can go faster. It's like, have you ever when you travel like on a plane? It's faster one way than the other because one way you're with the wind, one way you're against it. So if you're with the wind, it's going to help propel you go faster. So with the wind would be our speed with no wind plus what? Plus 20. Against the wind would be our speed with no wind, and then minus 20. Okay, now which one of these has just numbers in it? The distance. Okay, so when he flew against the wind, he traveled how far? 500. When he traveled with the wind? 600. So time is what divided by what? Distance over your speed. Distance over your speed. And how is my time related? It's equal. It's like the same time. And the same time it took to fly. So those are equal to each other. So let's just set them equal. 600 divided by, can you go and solve this without, and oh, I forgot a 0. There you go. Equals 500 over v minus 20. Okay, go ahead and solve this. You should be able to. Okay, so when you're done, can you check your answers? You should get a speed with no wind as 200, or 220, sorry. No.
Did you change the question now because it said there's no difference with no?
Yeah, we did change it. So we changed our categories to with and against.
So it says calculate what the speed be with.
Oh, so calculate the speed of the plane with no wind. So you're right. So the answer should just be 220.
Yeah.
Therefore, the speed with no wind is 220. I could ask you what's the speed with or and against, like that, but you're right. It just asked just the speed with no wind. Is 220. Okay, so the last two questions, the overtaking problems, they're just math 10 problems. They don't deal with rational expressions. So I feel like we should skip them. Yes? Okay? I feel like you'll be okay with your homework. And I guess we'll find out. Your assignment, I'm going to write on the board. You also have an extra handout. Okay? So that extra handout that was on the front table, if you didn't grab it, it is on the front table that you can grab. it has some extra problems. I have an answer key, so if you want to work through those problems, I'll just hang the answer key at the front here. Also, just a reminder, I think the Hampers ends this Friday. Yes? Or when? Monday? Okay, we have till Monday to get stuff in. So we've been doing pretty good. But if there's anything, you said you could bring something. If you could bring it in, that'd be great.